I was just, I'll indicate the objection and then have Mike come and talk. Yes. So, so for the record, I'm Jim Trupis from the Trump campaign, and we are today objecting to those votes that were cast and those ballots that were received, all ballots received in the Democracy in the Park process here in the city of Madison. To begin with, I'd like to have Mike Haas, who is the city attorney, if he could, he's got some affidavits to introduce about the event as well as to address the number. So, Mike?
That's fine.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Haas, H-A-A-S. I'm the city attorney for the city of Madison. And hopefully that's better. I have entered a couple of affidavits in the record, one from me and one from the city clerk, Mary Beth Witzel Bale, to address the Democracy in the Park event and the ballots that were collected through that process. So my affidavit basically recounts correspondence I had with an attorney representing the leadership in the state assembly and the state senate, the Republican leaders of those bodies who were objecting to the event that was provided the day before the first Saturday that it was held. My affidavit also includes my response the following day to the attorney. The gist of it is that that attorney was claiming that the Democracy in the Park events did not comply with Wisconsin law. It cited some statutes, but not really any reason under those statutes that I could tell that the event would not be valid and those ballots would not be valid. So I responded to him to that effect and said that as far as I could tell, the event complied with all laws because ballots would not be issued in the parks. Only ballots would be collected that had already been mailed out to voters. Sworn election officials would be collecting the ballots, and the ballots would be secured and then delivered to the clerk's office. And we thought that that was valid under Wisconsin statute 6.87 sub 6, which only requires returning the ballot to the clerk. It does not require the individual voter to return their ballot. I could sit in the park all day long and collect 100 ballots from my friends and turn them into the clerk, and that would be a valid process. This was actually a more secure process than that. And in fact, I visited the parks, and at the end of the day, the clerk sent couriers to the parks to pick up the ballots. The couriers were required to have a photo ID, and they actually had to have a password to pick up the ballots. I witnessed in one case, a courier arrived, got out of her car, did not have her ID. The worker sent her back to her car to get her license so they could match it up with who that was supposed to collect the ballots. She did not know the password at that point, and so they actually had to contact the clerk's office to verify her identity and that it was okay to send the ballots with her. The election officials could also serve as witnesses. There were two ways that voters could submit their ballots. They could bring their completed ballot in this sealed envelope with their signature and the witness signature and address, and that would merely be collected by the election officials. Or they could bring their blank ballot and fill it out in front of a witness at the park, and the witness would then sign the envelope and list their address as any other absentee ballot. That event took place on the last Saturday of October, the last Saturday of September 26th, and the first Saturday of October. my letter to the attorney was delivered on September 26th. Obviously, several weeks before the election, we did not receive any response. There is a process permitting individuals to file a complaint with the Wisconsin Elections Commission if they think a clerk is acting outside of the law, and asking the Wisconsin Elections Commission to rule on the complaint. There was no complaint filed with the Wisconsin Elections Commission. There was no lawsuit filed. In fact, I had a conversation with the administrator and the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission on September 26th to ensure that we were in compliance with the law. Those ballots were collected at the end of the day. Those were considered to be absentee ballots, just as any mailed-in ballots. They were assembled and then divided into the wards that they belong to. So those ballots are no longer segregated. They cannot be identified at this point because anybody from anywhere in the city could go to any park in the city. It was not divided up by ward. And so when the ballots were received, they were put in the ballot boxes with the ballots from the appropriate wards. So I would just ask and also the total number of ballots collected at Democracy in the Park was 17,271 ballots. So thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike.